Okay, so volume of cylinder. So what we already saw in the video, they calculated the volume of a cylinder and they told us the formula is pi times radius squared, which is the area of a circle, times the height. So you take the area of a circle, because it's a circular base, and then you multiply it times the height. And so we're going to need to know a radius and a height. So that's the stuff we need to know. Okay, and they have a worked out solution for you. I'd like to move over here. They ask us to round this to the nearest tenth. We're going to do two things with these four examples, all right, guys? We're going to write our exact answer in terms of pi, and then we're going to give an approximate answer using 3.14 for pi. So for all four of these answers, we're going to use pi approximately 3.14. But remember, I'm putting the squiggly equals because this is an approximation. All right. So let's begin. So we're going to need to find the volume. And the formula we have is the base of a circle, pi times radius squared. And we multiply that times the height of the cylinder. And those are the values we need. We need a radius and we need a height. Let's see if we have those. We have this 10 millimeters. Is that a radius? Is that R? Yes, it goes from the middle to the edge. That is a radius. And this is most certainly a height. So we have the values we need. Let's replace R with 10 and H with 18. Okay? So let's do it. Volume, we don't know what the volume is, equals, don't put 3.14, leave it as pi for the time being. We do know the radius is 10, so this is going to be 10 squared times, I'll use parentheses to multiply, the height, which is 18. All right, so we're going to do that. Do me a favor. I forgot one thing. Not everyone has a calculator, and we're going to need those. Okay, so now that everyone has a calculator, we may not need it for this first example, but we'll definitely need it for other ones. Okay, so let's see what we want to do. Look at your numbers, and it's order of operations, kind of like PEMDAS. Parentheses, exponents, multiplying, dividing, adding, subtracting. Okay, which value should I work on first? I got pi times all this stuff. I got 10 squared, and I got times 18. 10 squared. 10 squared is 10 times 10, so it's 100. So now I have pi times 100 times 18. I'm going to do two things for my final answer here. I'm going to move pi to the end because I want my answer in terms of pi. And I'm also going to multiply 100 times 18. So let's do that. If I do all that, my final answer for the exact answer is, what's 100 times 18? It's 1,800. And what do I put at the end? Pi. This, and the units. We have units, millimeters. So this is my final answer. 1,800 pi cubic millimeters. And we talked about this before. Is this an exact or an approximate answer? This one's exact. But say, who works with cubic millimeters? I'm trying to think. Okay, cubic millimeters. Say you're a doctor or a nurse, and you know how you ever see those IV bags when they put the medicine in the IV liquid and it goes into the person? Well, they do that maybe in cubic millimeters. If you're like a doctor or nurse, you're going to say, oh, we need to put 1,800 pi cubic millimeters of X medicine. Does that make sense? Do you think a doctor or nurse would say that? 1,800 pi cubic millimeters? No. They would use the approximate answer. So this is an exact answer. It's great for mathematicians, or physicists, people that don't really need this for like real world stuff right then and there. But if you're a person that needs an actual number with this, guess what we're going to do instead of pi? Approximation with 3.14. So this is where 3.14 comes in. So for our next answer, we're going to do volume is approximately 1,800 times, instead of pi, we're going to put 3.14. And now calculator time. We got to do 1,800 times 3.14. And look what I get. 5,652. Okay. Okay. So the volume is approximately 5,652 cubic millimeters. So they would actually say 5,652 cubic millimeters of whatever solution. So just remember, this is exact, but not helpful in the real world. And this is approximate. Life is rarely exact. Life is messy. And those are the types of answers we get. Okay? Any questions? All right, let's take a look at the next one, number 2. I apologize for number 2 in advance. That did not come out very well. Let me give you the numbers that we're missing. So we have this circular base, and they give us the distance all the way across. We call that the diameter, and the diameter is 12 feet. And they also give us this height. And the height is 9 feet. So 12 feet for the diameter all the way across, 9 feet for the height. So since this is the diameter, though, it's not really what I want, right? For volume, anything circular, it's usually best to have the radius. So remember how we get the radius from a diameter? I take this number and divide it by 2. Okay, so if this is 12, this is going to be 6 feet. So the radius is 6 feet and the height is 9 feet. So we're going to use 6 for R and 9 for H. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do some calculating. We're going to take our formula. V equals pi R squared H. And then we have to replace R with 6. Let's do that. Do I do anything with pi? Leave it there. Just, it stays pi for right now. This is 6 squared. This is 9. So now I got to do the math, I got to do 6 squared, which is 6 times 6. So pi times 36 times 9. So this is what I got, pi times 36 times 9. Well, we're almost there. Let's do this. Take pi, it's going to go at the end, but we still got to multiply 36 times 9. On your calculator, type in 36 times 9. Let's see what we get for 36 times 9. How much is 36 times 9? 324. Let's write the answer then. Pi, and then cubic feet. This is our exact answer, because we're leaving pi as pi. Okay, so now let's move on to the approximate answer. Take that answer you just got, 324 times pi, replace pi with 3.14. So now we want to multiply 324 times 3.14. And let's see what we get there. What does that give us? On your calculator, let's type in 324 times 3.14. 324 times 3.14. Oops, I think I missed. Did anyone get this answer? 1017.36. It did say to round it to the nearest tenth, right? So let's do that. Let's make it 1017.4. Okay. And this is cubic feet. All right. All right. So that's leaving answers in terms of pi. Let's go ahead and try that for the next ones. You guys ready? So on these, they don't give us the circle or the shape. We have to just take the numbers as they are. So for the first one, they give us a radius. So we already know r. They give us a height. We know h. Let's use those. Okay. So volume equals pi times radius squared times height. Let's put in our numbers. Volume equals, leave this as pi, times 9.5 squared times 2.2. Okay, so that's what we have to figure out. So first thing is 9.5 squared. Let's figure out 9.5 squared. I'm going to let the calculator do the work. 9.5 times 9.5. And that makes sense as an answer. You know how I know that makes sense? 9.5 is almost 10. And 10 times 10 is 100. So my answer should be between 81, 9 times 9, and 10 times 10, 100. And that's definitely an answer that fits the bill. So 90.25. Let me just write all that down. Pi times 90.25. And then we're going to multiply times 2.2. Okay. So for the last part, move this all the way to the end. Multiply 90.25 times 2.2. I'm going to multiply this times 2.2. And this is the answer I get. 198.55. Is that the answer I want to write? Yes or no? What do you say? Is that okay to write as an answer? 198.55? What do I have to do? Okay, very good. Round it to the nearest tenth. So let's make that 0.6. How's that? So the final answer is 198.6 pi cubic yards. Okay. And then if I wanted an approximate answer, I would use 3.14. Okay. But let's just leave it in terms of pi for this. Okay. Let's move on to number 4. So for number 4, can everyone read those numbers? This is 6 centimeters and this is 11 centimeters. 6 and 11. However, they give us a diameter. I don't want a diameter, I want a radius. So what's the radius going to be if the diameter is 6 centimeters? 3. Half of that. So let's use the radius of 3 centimeters and a height of... So work it out, please. Pi times radius squared times height. I'll give you a little bit of time, but I'd like you to work this out and leave your answer in terms of pi like we did here. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of time. I want you to work it out. Your answer is 99 pi cubic centimeters. So it would be 3 squared, which is 9, times 11, which is 11 times 9 is 99. And it's 99 pi cubic centimeters. Okay. And then if we wanted an approximate answer for whatever reason, we would multiply that by 3.14. Okay. Any questions? Okay, 2 more things to do and then we're done. Let's go ahead and flip this to the next page. And on the back here, we are going to use 3.14 for pi. We're going to do a little dividing and square rooting because we do have r squared. So we're finding on one of these, we're going to find the height, and on the other, we're going to find the radius. And when we have to find the radius, we also have to square root. But definitely divide. Let's see what we know, though. So we know the volume. They tell us the volume, and they give us the radius. The height is the part we don't know in the first problem, number 5. So we know the volume. We know the radius. The height is our unknown. Okay. So we're going to start off with the formula. So we'll start off with the formula. Oh, we also know pi is 3.14. Okay, so volume is pi times radius squared times the height. Okay, so put in every number we know. So let's see what we know. We know the volume. So instead of V over here, we're going to put 9,820.58. Equals, we know pi, 3.14. We know the radius, and the radius is, what number is that? 12. We don't know the height. So there's everything we know. We're going to leave the height as h. Okay, so you look at the left side, it's just a number, nothing to do there. You look at the right side, we do have 12 squared. So let's figure that out. 12 squared is 12 times 12. So that's 144. So 3.14 times 144 times h. Okay. Oh, yeah. 9820.5. Okay. So Now look at the left side again. I still can multiply 3.14 times 144. So I'm going to do that. So the next part I'm going to do is 3.14 times 144. And that gives me 452.16. So I'm going to write that number. Better just copy this over. And so 452.16 times h. I'll just leave the h there. And this is where that dividing comes in. It's like solving a one-step equation. I want to get h by itself, so divide away the 452. So divide by 452 on both sides. Oops. So these cancel. So now the only math left to do is, and thank God I got a calculator, this division right here. So I'm going to do that. 9820.58 divided by 452.16. And I'm going to round this to the nearest tenth. 0.7. 21.7 inches. So my final answer for the height is 21.7 inches. And that's my answer. 21.7 inches for the height. Just inches. It's a regular length, right? So that's in what we call linear units, because it's a length. Same thing for the next one we're going to do. Look at number 4, the final one. What is it that we don't know? Radius. R is our unknown. We know the height. We know the volume. And on these problems, whenever you have to find a radius, we are going to have to divide like we just did, but we're also going to have to square root, because that's the opposite of squaring a number. Okay? So let's do it. You ready? Well, start with the formula. Volume is pi times radius squared times height. Replace the numbers we know. So we got 3,914.9 for the volume. Pi is always going to be 3.14. The radius we don't know, so I'll put r squared. The height we do know is 13.1. Okay, so I got all these numbers. Look at the left side, nothing to work out there. What can I put together or work out or simplify on the right side? I'll give you a hint. This is all multiplying. Yeah, 3.14 times 13.1. Those multiply them together. Even though they're not next to each other, commutative property says we can multiply them together. So just multiply those together. And I get this answer, 41.134. Write out the whole answer. We'll do rounding at the end. So since it's not a very long decimal number, I'll keep all those digits, 41.134. Okay? So this stays the same. 41.134 r squared. So I don't have r, I have r squared. But I do have a coefficient. I have a number I can divide away. Divide away this number. So at this point, just like we did here, we're going to divide away this number next to the variable. In this case, 41.134. Those cancel. Over on the other side, we get, well, I don't know what we get. Let's find out. 3914.9 divided by 41.134. This time, I think we will round it to 0.2. Does anyone else get that answer, 95.2? Yeah, okay. So we'll make it 95.2. So I get r squared equals 95.2. Okay, now I don't want r squared, I want r. So what undoes the squaring? We did it with the Pythagorean theorem. We did it with a bunch of other things. Anytime you have a squared variable, to undo the squaring, you square root. So the last thing we got to do is, you can even take this answer. It'll be a little more exact. Square root it. Is it 9.8? 9.8. So the radius is about 9.8. And what are we talking about? Units of feet. Not. Okay. All right, so the radius is 9.8 feet. All right, so this is what we're doing on IXL. Okay.